Hi everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Brooke Chavez, and this is our daily show bringing you all the latest movie news and insight into what it all means. Joining me as always is our senior editor-in-chief, Mr. John Campia.
Good morning. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody, on this fine day. That I'm very lonely, as it turns out.
Poor John.
My wife's gone away on a trip to Spain, and I have no idea what to do with myself.
He won't have a cooked meal for quite some time.
Exactly.
Also joining us is our beautiful associate editor, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbuck.
Hi there.
Hi, Amy.
So I have to share something in the theme of sharing. Last night I was at the Hollywood Bowl for reggae night, and I got to see Stephen Marley do a cover of Redemption Song, and it was so beautiful and did his pops proud, and it was a really, really special night. Warm summer nights, the Hollywood Bowl doesn't get much better.
No, don't be jealous that we live here in LA, guys. All right, starting off, director Joss Whedon was on the red carpet recently for the Saturn Awards and was interviewed by Crave Online, who asked him about the involvement of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in the upcoming Avengers 2. Now, many have speculated if the characters will play a large or small part in the new film. Whedon said the following: "They're a huge part of the movie," Whedon says of Quicksilver and his sister, the Scarlet Witch. "I'm really excited about it. I don't know what they're doing, and I'm determinedly not knowing. They'll do their thing. I'll have to do mine." John, what do you make of Whedon making Quicksilver and Silver Witch huge parts of Avengers 2?
Well, you know, when he says they'll do their thing, of course he's talking about DC, or he's talking about Fox, because Fox is also going to have Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in their movie, the X-Men Days of Future Past. I hate this. I really do. I hate this on a lot of levels. They shouldn't be using them. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver belong in the X-Men universe. Now, I know a lot of people, whenever I say that, a lot of people try to debate me on that. Say, oh, no, I mean, this and this happened before we ever even found out they were Magneto's kids. And you know, they've been in the Avengers since this, and this, and this. You know what? That's like people trying to argue with me that Wayne Gretzky, greatest hockey player that's ever lived, is actually American because, oh, no, Wayne Gretzky, he lives in the U.S. now, and he works for a U.S. team. And no, he's Canadian. He's the quintessential Canadian. That's just the way it is. Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch belong in the X-Men universe. And look, there's nothing Joss Whedon can do with these two characters that he couldn't do with other people. Like I said this before on the show, and I stick by this. With all of the great characters Marvel has in their lineup that are sitting unused, it's a joke that they're using Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch to do whatever it is they're going to have them do when you have all these unexplored great characters just sitting on the shelf. Now, it's like, look, and I'm sure Joss, who is amazing, is going to make a great movie out of this, and you know, whatever Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver do is going to be awesome and great, and I'm going to love the movie, I'm going to want more. But that doesn't mean I like the fact that he's using them when obviously they're just doing it to try to rub it in Fox's face. I don't like it. I think it's a poor move. It's like a cook coming to me and saying, I'm going to cook you this amazing jambalaya. It's incredible what you're going to experience when I make this for you. Now, to get the peppers that I need and to get the tomatoes that I need, you know, for those who put peppers and tomatoes in their jambalaya, I'm going to sneak into this sick woman's garden because she won't be able to stop me. She's sick right now. I'm going to sneak in her garden. I'm going to steal the stuff out of her garden, and I'm going to put it in the soup. And I'll say, well, wait, I don't like that. That's where you're getting it from. I don't like that you're stealing it from this poor sick woman. I do not like in principle where you're getting it from. Now, he can make me the soup, and I can love the soup. I can adore it. I can say I want more, but I still don't like that you went and got the ingredients from that garden. My same thing here. Joss Whedon's going to make an amazing Avengers 2 with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, but I don't like that they're doing this thing. It's going to confuse. It's going to be confusing. It's going to be convoluted. You don't need them. You could have used other Marvel characters, and like I said, you're just swinging your manhood around to try to tick off another studio. I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb. It's going to be amazing, but I still don't like it. So anyway, Amy Rose.
Your analogies have gotten more and more interesting as the show progresses, I've got to say. The sick woman's garden. Anyway, I'm really torn on this. On one hand, all your points are very valid, and I definitely identify with them. But, you know, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are such incredible characters, and I do want to see what Joss is going to do with them. It is very difficult. I wish we could just coexist and allow the Avengers to be able to mention the fact that they're mutants and allow Singer to mention the fact that they were, you know, on the Avengers eventually, whatever. I wish we could coexist. Obviously, that's not going to happen. It is a pissing match, but I would really like to see what Joss is going to do with these characters. If you took this out of context, his little quote about they'll do their thing, I really like assuming that Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are going to take on a mind of their own like that. Like, they're going to do their thing. Like, it'd be cool to imagine taking reign in that. But they really are great characters. It'll be interesting to see who plays them as the duo, because that's going to be really important since only Quicksilver is in singers, not Scarlet Witch at this time.
That we know of.
At this time. So yeah, I am mixed. I really wish, X-Men, I'm a diehard fan, as we know. So that would take priority. I do think that they're going to have an easier time showing the backstory, obviously, in the X-Men, and the backstory is so important here. So without those details, it might not hold, the same kind of power. But I do have a lot of faith in Joss, and I think he's going to do a really good job with whatever, restraints he has to work with.
Agreed.
All right, so the highly anticipated Guillermo del Toro film Pacific Rim hits AMC theaters everywhere on July 12th. However, when Del Toro and actor Ron Perlman, who's one of the stars of Pacific Rim, are together, it seems all anyone wants to talk about is Hellboy 3. This week, Perlman and Del Toro had dinner with Legendary Pictures head Thomas Tull, and the topic of Hellboy 3 came up. Masters of the Web panelist Ryan Turek talked with the pair about the meeting, and Del Toro said the following. I hate giving pieces about it, but last night we were at dinner, and Ron said, I would be very happy to do Hellboy again. When are we doing Hellboy 3? Thomas Tull said, I would love to see Hellboy 3. He didn't say he would love to do it, he just said he'd like to see it. But today I'll ask him. Later, Perlman talked about the meeting saying the following. Not just anybody can make this movie, Perlman said. I loved working for Legendary, and I know for Guillermo, working on Pacific Rim was one of his greatest experiences. The reason I loved working for them is because Guillermo was so happy. I came in 6 months into the shoot, and he seemed as fresh as a daisy simply because he was working for someone who appreciated and supported his outlandish visions of what he wanted to put on the screen. My immediate silent wish was, wouldn't it be great if these guys came in and helped resolve the Hellboy series? Amy Rose, do you think with comments like that a Hellboy 3 could actually come to fruition?
Well, they better hurry up because Perlman's already in his 60s, so they are certainly running out of time. The man really wants this movie to be made. Every statement I've heard from him in the last couple of years, has just been like, let's do this, Guillermo, let's do this. I think we're going to know a lot more about the chances after Pacific Rim opens. Now, I know it's not tracking that well, which really disappoints me. Guillermo del Toro is one of the most wonderful filmmakers and one of the nicest guys. I've interviewed him a couple times, and he's just so humble and really understands this craft. And the monsters and creatures in that armory of his are so spectacular, and I'm really looking forward to Pacific Rim. But I do know that it's not tracking that well, and it was an expensive movie to make. And if it's not wildly successful, then they might still do a Hellboy 3, but maybe on a smaller scale, which is going to be really hard for Guillermo, who does these amazing productions and creatures. Pan's Labyrinth is still one of my favorite films ever. I do think it's possible. I do think that they would have the right people on board. But from everything I've heard about Guillermo, he's also a very easy filmmaker to work with from the studio side, which would make this a lot more easier to work with as well. So obviously Del Toro's on board, Perlman's on board. I do think that we could see a Hellboy 3, but they better hurry up.
I don't know that Del Toro's on board.
I think he is.
I don't know that he is. I think there's a possibility he'd be interested in doing a Hellboy 3, but he's certainly not saying, yeah, I want to do it.
Not like Perlman.
We haven't heard him say it. Perlman obviously has been saying, what? An actor in Hollywood wants a big leading role in a major franchise film? Go figure. Of course Perlman wants that. But the main problem, I still don't think we're going to see Hellboy 3. I think there are two significant problems in the way. Number one, you mentioned Perlman's already 60, but he looks better at 60 than 95% of the males on the planet right now. The dude's a beast.
Yeah.
But saying that, Guillermo del Toro is sick busy. He's got no less than 5 or 6 pictures in the works right now. As a writer, as a director, as a producer on different levels and stuff like that, which means even if he wanted to do a Hellboy 3, and even if Legendary Pictures wanted to come along and do it, we're looking at maybe 5, 6, 7 years from now before Del Toro's even available to do something like this. Would I like to see a Hellboy 3? Hell yes, I really would. And I love Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
Sam Crow, forever. I'd love Ron Perlman. But I still think that the obstacles in the way of this are just unfortunately too great. Some people call me pessimist. Baby, I'm just a realist. I just call it as I see it. And the way I see it right now, it doesn't look like practically it could line up to work. So fortunately, I don't think we're going to see it.
Maybe someday.
Someday.
All right, the box office results from the weekend are in, and it was another big win for Pixar's Monsters University, taking the #1 spot again with over $46 million. And second spot was a new comedy, The Heat, which made $40 million. In third place, the Brad Pitt zombie apocalypse film, World War Z. The fourth spot is a new Sony film, White House Down. And in fifth spot, in its third week of release, is Man of Steel, which has already made over $520 million worldwide. John, what stands out to you about this weekend's results?
The biggest thing that stands out to me, unfortunately, because, by all accounts, it's kind of a fun movie, is White House Down made $25 million in its opening weekend on a $150 million budget. It's not good news. So this movie is going to tank. While you should still go see it, but it looks like it's going to tank. The lesson of the day here is, if you and another studio are putting out the same movie, get your movie out first, because by all accounts, White House Down is a superior movie to Olympus Has Fallen. White House Down has the two bigger stars right now in Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx than Olympus Has Fallen did with Gerard Butler and Aaron Eckhart.
Eckhart, yeah.
And by all accounts, most audiences prefer White House Down over Olympus Has Fallen. But Olympus Has Fallen made more money on its opening weekend, and overall it's probably going to end up making more money than White House Down will. Why? Because they're the exact same, well, from perception point of view, they're the exact same movie, coming out roughly in the exact same time period. So if you're going to do that, studios, the moral of the story here today is get your movie out first. Love the results that we're seeing. I love that Monsters University took it #1 again. $40 million for a comedy like The Heat is a very nice number. They've got to be quite happy with that. Brad Pitt's World War Z, there was some fear about a month before that film opened that ultimately it was going to be a big financial wash for the studio, but it's actually turning some pretty nice results, and by the end of the day, this movie's actually going to make some money for the studio, so that's always good to see. Man of Steel has already crossed $500 million worldwide in just its third week. So really good week at the box office for everybody except for maybe White House Down at this point. Amy Rose, anything stand out to you about the box office results this week?
That's definitely the biggest surprise for me, that White House Down did not get the third spot over World War Z. The buzz around World War Z has been fine. People are like, it's a decent film, but no one's like, it's amazing. And White House Down, the reviews have been really positive, as you're saying. Like, everyone's saying this is Roland Emmerich's best film since Independence Day. Like, it's just a fun, mindless time. You kind of know what you're going to expect. And I love Channing Tatum, and Jamie Foxx is a very talented actor. Man of Steel, how many times are you going to see that when your wife is away again, John?
Oh, 4 or 5 times.
That's what stood out to me there. But yeah, Pixar, I mean, that's not a surprise at all. They always hold very steady, and for good reason. Monsters University is a very charming prequel. So yeah, not that shocked. Sorry White House Down didn't get more love, but I can't say I'm shocked.
It's going to be interesting to see next week's box office results, because you've got this Pixar kids film, Monsters U, that's out right now and doing very well. But this week, Despicable Me 2 opens. So you're going to have these two big major kids properties open. They're going to be in theaters. I mean, obviously Despicable Me 2 will take #1 spot at the box office.
Ranger.
And Lone Ranger opens up, and I know Lone Ranger opened, and I just said Despicable Me 2. That's my prediction. Despicable Me 2 will take #1 spot at the box office next week over Lone Ranger, but we'll talk about that next week.
I completely agree. My little one wants to see Despicable Me 2. I was going to say that I think that all the stay-at-home moms need to get the Monsters University and Despicable Me 2 out of the way before they buy their guilty ticket to see White House Down.
There you go.
And go watch Channing Tatum. Like, I got to make sure I get my kid to these films, and then I can go see my guilty pleasure Channing. So I'm going to go see you soon, honey. I'll be there, Channing.
All right, folks, listen, it's that part of the show for buy and sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Brooke has several other items in the world of movie news. She's going to list them off, and Amy Rose and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Brooke, what do we got?
Okay, as you all know, the next installment of the Hobbit trilogy, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, hits AMC theaters on December 13th this year with the third and final installment, The Hobbit, There and Back Again, set for December 14th, 2014. Director Peter Jackson took to his Facebook page and announced the following. A day after saying goodbye to Gandalf and Tauriel, it was time to farewell Legolas. What a great day it was, with Orlando battling a serious orc for all 12 hours of shooting, part of the battle of the 5 armies for the third Hobbit movie. When we finally got the day done, we said goodbye to Orlando and had a couple of beers and couldn't resist doing this. What's this that Jackson is talking about? This is a little video that they shot. Let's take a look.
Isengard, God.
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard. What did you say?
The hobbits, the hobbits, the hobbits, the hobbits, the hobbits, the hobbits.
The hobbits to
To Isengard! To Isengard! To Isengard!
So, Amy Rose, buy or sell things wrapping up with the Hobbit trilogy?
I don't even know what to say with that because I don't want it to end. But, you know, at least we have 2 amazing films on the way. Sure, I will buy it because I am excited to see what Peter Jackson will do next. It just shows that video what a good sense of humor they have on set. I mean, obviously this meme hit before and it was hilarious apparently. But I'm really, really excited. I did like the Hobbit film a lot. And the 5 armies battle is going to be so epic. So I'm really, really excited for it. And I'm excited to see Benedict Cumberbatch as, you know, motion capture, get another cool character like Gollum in there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I gotta buy this. I mean, it's this battle of 5 armies, and I unfortunately we gotta wait until the end of 2014 for it. This is, mark my words, this is gonna be the most epic battle scene ever in the history of film. I believe that's what's going to end up being. And you know, I was saying this to Amy Rose before we started the show. I said, it's, you know, with Orlando Bloom finishing his shooting for the films, I said, you know, it's really, really nice that Orlando Bloom was able to come in and do this work for a couple of months before his career goes back into obscurity again for the rest of his days. That's look, you know what? It's funny. I don't know that anybody's been handed the potential for an A-list, long-lasting Hollywood career like Orlando Bloom was handed. He got the Pirates franchise, and he got the Lord of the Rings, and then nothing. Then he was gone. I don't know that the dude deserved to go into complete obscurity like he has. I think he was a little better than that, but I also know he was never going to be an A-list performer. But I look, my passion, my love for this trilogy, I would romance it with sweet chocolates and fine wines from 7 countries around Europe. You know, I would romance everything that has to do with Middle Earth off its feet and take it away to be my bride. But oddly enough, it is going to be coming to an end, and you know, we're probably about to see the end of all Peter Jackson Middle Earth stuff next year, and it is sad. I mean, we buy it, but it is sad to know that it's done.
That's why I'm like, I don't know how to feel about it.
All right.
Okay, the 3rd installment of the Vin Diesel Riddick series, simply called Riddick, hit AMC theaters everywhere on September 6th. A new poster for the film has just hit the web, which you can see here. John, buy or sell this new poster for Riddick?
Look, I'm not really super looking forward to this movie, but I buy this poster. I think it's a great poster. I love the color scheme of it. I love the detail in it. It's a very cool pose. Yeah, I really don't think there's nothing to not like about this poster. I think it's really cool. So even though I'm not super stoked, I'm not a big fan of the Riddick series so far, love the poster, yeah, so for me it's a buy.
I agree. Buy. Vin looks pretty badass in that, and yeah, I love everything about it. The first film was fun, second one, so I can't say that I'm like really excited for this one either, but they nailed the poster, so well played, guys.
Lakeshore Entertainment has announced the cast for their upcoming thriller, The Vatican Tapes. The film will star Michael Pena, Academy Award nominee Jimon Hunsu, Doug Ray Scott, Kathleen Robertson, Peter Anderson, Olivia Dudley, John Patrick Amadori, and Alex Sparrow. Now, The Vatican Tapes follows the haunting tale of 27-year-old Angela Holmes, played by Dudley, an ordinary girl who begins to have a devastating effect on anyone close to her, causing serious injury and death. The local priest, Father Lozano, played by Pena, examines Holmes and believes she is possessed, but when Vicar Amani, portrayed by Hunsu, and Cardinal Brune, played by Anderson, are called from the Vatican to exorcise a demon, it proves to be an ancient satanic force more powerful than they imagined. Amy Rose, buy or sell The Sounds of the Vatican Tapes?
I'm gonna sell it. It just sounds like too many things I've seen. The Exorcism of Emily Rose, too similar to my name, never liked that. And Stigmata and all these other films. I really like these kind of religious horror films. I'm very fascinated by most of the material, but this just doesn't sound fresh or original enough to engage me at this time.
Yeah, I gotta sell this too. I mean, sign me up for a good exorcism movie every 3 to 5 years. But like in the last 3 years, we've had like 4 or 5 major project exorcism movies, and it's like been there, done that. I don't know why Lakeshore is doing this film at this time. Now look, full disclosure, a friend of mine is actually writing and directing this film. His name's Mark Neveldine, who did the Crank films with Jason Statham, and he just did the Ghost Rider film. He's a insane Mad Hatter of a filmmaker. I mean, he's just crazy as hell. I love this guy, but I just don't know why they're doing this type of film right now. It just makes no sense, and I don't think a lot of people are going to be very interested in it because We've just been saturated with exorcism movies the last 3 years. Bad timing for this, for me. It's got to be a sell. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for mailbag. Look, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, since we only have time to get to a couple questions on AMC Movie Talk, we do a new show on the weekends called AMC Mailbag, where all we do is take your questions. So send your questions in. Maybe we can get to it on AMC Mailbag. Maybe we can get to it on AMC Movie Talk. Send them in and find out. So for now, Brooke's got a couple of messages pulled out of the mailbag. Brooke, what do we got?
Yes, Nana Poku writes, first of all, great show. With Green Lantern and the upcoming Justice League movie, would it be crazy if Ryan Reynolds is cast as the Flash? I personally think he would be perfect for the part. In my opinion, his sense of humor and sarcasm are perfect for playing the Flash. What do you guys think?
He would be a great Flash. I'm not going to take that away. If you had asked me 5 years ago, hey, John, what do you think of a Ryan Reynolds playing the Flash? I'd say, done. I'd say that's a great idea. But today, he's Green Lantern. Today, he's Deadpool. So, I mean, he's already kind of two different comic book characters in two different studios. And it doesn't, now, people can make the argument, Chris Evans played, the Human Torch in Fantastic Four. And now he's Captain America. Yes, but there were two different studios and two different universes. You're talking about the same studio and the same characters. Look, Ryan Reynolds is Green Lantern. That doesn't mean he's going to be Green Lantern in the Justice League. They may recast him. They probably will recast him. I still think they should bring him back. As all the problems that the Green Lantern movie had, we've said this 1,000 times, one of the problems was not Ryan Reynolds. He was actually a pretty good Green Lantern, just a bad movie. I'd like to see him back for that. Whether he will or not is another issue. But he definitely won't be cast in another role in that same universe. I just don't see it happening. Like I said, I think it's a great suggestion. 5 years ago, I would have jumped all over it. But since he's already been Green Lantern, I just don't think it can happen. How do you see it, Amy Rose?
Yeah, same exact way. I just think it's too confusing to the universe. And I completely agree. He would be an amazing Flash, but I just think it would be too confusing. And it's not like he was a secondary character. Green Lantern is a huge, and that film revolved around him. So I don't think it'd be a possibility. And I completely agree. I think Ryan Reynolds is a wonderful actor, and he was good as the Green Lantern. The script sucked. That was the problem. The direction sucked, but he did a solid job. So with the right script, with the right, team of players behind him, I think that he could really do it justice. So, but it's too confusing, especially in the same universe as we just mentioned.
Emilio Alvarez writes, do you guys have any idea on why the marketing for Pacific Rim has been sloppy? I've only seen the trailer play once in the theater, and it has not been generating almost any buzz. Pacific Rim looks like the movie of the summer, and I'm afraid it will bomb. John, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's funny. Amy Rose was mentioning a little bit earlier in the show that the film isn't tracking well, and by tracking, that doesn't mean, some people get confused when they hear that. When you hear people in Hollywood talking about how a film is tracking, that's not a reflection on how good the movie is. They're not saying how good or bad the movie is. It's just how many people are aware, but they do some surveys, whatever, how many people are aware of the film, and will they be going to see the film? That's what tracking means. And it's not tracking well. So it's in position and in danger a little bit right now of maybe not performing so great at the box office when it opens. Now, that being said, there was a really good article in Variety not so long ago that pointed out that as of right now, normally by now the studio has spent about 80% of its marketing budget. As of right now, the studio still hasn't spent about 70% of the marketing budget. It looks like they're preparing for Lone Ranger to open and then do a huge, massive final week push. The reality is this: as much as we love Guillermo del Toro, and we do, he's amazing, his films aren't necessarily for everybody. When people stand back and look at the things that we love so much, these weird creature designs and these abstract ideas and all these things that make him so cool to us, sometimes that alienates a lot of the movie-going audience because they don't look at it and instantly think, oh yeah, I want to go see that. And that's unfortunate. But if the movie's good enough, and if you and I like it, and then you and I do our work by getting our friends and turning them on to it, it can do just fine. So yeah, you haven't seen a lot of trailers for it yet, but that's partially because the studio has not really done its big push yet. And I think that push is coming in the next 7 days. Amy Rose, how do you see it?
Yeah, so to elaborate a little more on tracking for those less familiar with the terms, to give you kind of an idea about it, Man of Steel was tracking at 100 mil. So, and we know that was actually a pretty close. So tracking is very indicative of where the film is going. So they do need to pay attention. And if the marketing is not catching the audience they want, they fine tune it separately. So for Pacific Rim, they're going to go for teens now. You know, they already have the fanboys, they already have the sci-fi people that are into that kind of genre. So they need to really try to get the target audience. The thing about Pacific Rim that is the problem, while there's a lot of really great actors in it, it doesn't have the star quality that, say, the Avengers had, or Robert Downey Jr., any of these huge, larger-than-life names. I mean, we love Ron Perlman, Idris Elba, one of my favorites, like Charlie Hunnam, Charlie Day. Like, it's a great cast, but there's no marquee name like the Will Smith of the world, you know, where it's really going to pull in that other audience. So they really do need to pull out all the stops. I'm really looking forward to it. I think Guillermo's just incredible, as we've mentioned, but you know, it is a little tricky marketing this kind of film because it is a bit niche, other than the sci-fi and fanboy, fangirl kind of community. Yeah. So it is a bit of a challenge, but I hope that tracking picks up because I think it's going to be a good movie.
All right, folks, hey, listen, before I wrap things up here, just want to remind you a couple of announcements about Comic-Con is coming up in San Diego, biggest geek festival in the world. We're doing a couple things at it. Number one, we mentioned the Masters of the Web panel. It's going to be a special horror theme this year, which I'm super excited about. So you can check in the description of this video. You'll find a link to all the information about that panel. We hope that if you're going to be in San Diego for Comic-Con, you'll come on down and see the panel. Also, on Thursday the 18th of July, in San Diego at Comic-Con, we're going to do a special AMC Movie Talk meet and greet. I'm going to be there, Brooke's going to be there, Amy Rose, Dennis, all the AMC Movie Talk crew is going to be there. It's going to be in the first floor of the Omni Hotel, which is right across the street from the convention center, from 7 till 8:30. Once again, look in the description of this video for all the information. And listen, while I've got you, before you do anything else, take a second and click that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel to keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, and of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show and our weekend AMC Mailbag show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. Make sure you go on out and see a movie tonight. There's so many good films playing in AMC Theaters right now. It's a great time to be a film fan. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information, and click that subscribe button. I want to thank, as always, our lovely host, Ms. Brooke Chavez. Brooke, where can people find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Brooke Chavez LA.
Brooke Chavez LA. And of course, the one and only associate editor of movie news here at AMC Movie Talk, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach. Amy Rose, where can people find you on Twitter?
Amy Rosie, AMIROSIE. Thanks.
And thank you most of all to you guys. Listen, the most important part of the show is not what we have to say, it's what you have to say. Make sure you jump on down to the comments section, leave your thoughts on any or all the topics that we discussed here today. Agree or disagree, do it respectfully, but jump in. Let's get into some movie discussion. That's the best part about it, and I guarantee we read every single comment in there. So thanks again for joining us. My name is John Campion, and until next time for AMC Movie News, bye-bye.